Relentless by Tim S. Grover is a brutally honest, deeply intense guide to developing the mindset of elite performers. As the personal trainer to legends like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade, Grover writes from first-hand experience, not theory. His voice is direct, uncompromising, and intentionally provocative. The core of the book is about what it takes to go from good to great, and then from great to unstoppable. Grover calls this final stage being a cleaner, a person who doesn't just win but dominates, who doesn't follow motivation but follows an inner drive that never shuts off. The book opens by drawing a sharp distinction between three types of performers: coolers, closers, and cleaners. Coolers are good, closers are great, but cleaners are unstoppable. Cleaners don't need praise, they don't wait for direction, and they don't care what others think. They show up, do the job, and leave, consumed only with their mission. This isn't about being flashy or loud. It's about having a ruthless internal standard and never settling, even after winning. Grover frames this as a mindset available to anyone, but only if they're willing to pay the psychological and physical price. Grover takes the reader deep into the minds of the greatest athletes he's worked with. He talks about Michael Jordan's obsessive need to win, not just during games, but at all times. Jordan didn't practice to improve, he practiced to perfect. He didn't need to be told what to fix, he already knew and worked on it until it was unbreakable. Grover doesn't paint these athletes as heroes, but as flawed, sometimes selfish people who made winning everything. This isn't a motivational book about balance, it's a manual for the few willing to sacrifice nearly everything else. One of the central themes Grover hammers throughout the book is that motivation is overrated. Cleaners don't need to be motivated. They do what needs to be done because it's part of who they are. Waiting to feel inspired is for amateurs. The real grind begins when you're already tired, already winning, already at the top, and you still go back for more. Grover's world is one of repetition, obsession, and ruthless self-honesty. If something isn't working, a cleaner doesn't make excuses. They fix it. Grover details his 13 principles that define what it means to be relentless. These aren't rules, they're mental patterns. They include ideas like, you keep pushing yourself harder when everyone else has had enough, and, you don't compete with anyone, you find your opponent's weakness and you attack. These statements aren't just theoretical, Grover backs them with real-world stories of athletes who lived them. He also admits that being relentless isn't always pretty. In fact, it can be dark. It involves selfishness, obsession, even isolation. In one striking part of the book, Grover explains the idea of controlling your dark side. He argues that everyone has a dark side, a private space of desires, emotions, and thoughts we're taught to hide. Cleaners don't ignore or suppress this. Instead, they use it as fuel. Grover claims that trying to be too balanced or positive can actually weaken performance. The key is to channel everything, even fear, rage, insecurity, into focused action. The dark side becomes a source of power, not shame. Grover repeatedly emphasizes the importance of being comfortable in discomfort. Cleaners don't chase comfort, they live in friction. That means doing the boring, painful, unglamorous work every single day. No celebration, no finish line. Just a constant demand for more from yourself. Even when you're the best, you act like you're still behind. That's what separates the great from the unstoppable, they never believe they've arrived. He also warns against the distractions of external validation. Grover tells stories of athletes who lost their edge because they started caring too much about what fans, media, or sponsors thought. Cleaners don't play for applause. They play to dominate. They don't need encouragement, permission, or praise. Their standards are internal, and higher than anything the outside world could impose. That's why they often seem cold or emotionally distant. They're focused on results, not approval. A major part of Grover's philosophy is accountability. He refuses to let the people he trains make excuses or blame anyone else. Every failure, every mistake, every missed opportunity, it's on you. That kind of responsibility is heavy, but it's also empowering. You can't be relentless and blame others. Grover tells his clients hard truths, and in the book, he delivers the same unfiltered honesty to readers. If you want sympathy or comfort, go somewhere else. If you want results, take control of everything. Grover doesn't romanticize the grind. He shows how hard, lonely, and misunderstood it can be. He describes moments when elite performers are hated for being too intense, too focused, too obsessed. But he also makes it clear, that's the price of greatness. The world might not understand your hunger, but that's not their job. It's yours. And if you're looking for comfort, you're in the wrong game. One of the most actionable takeaways in the book is about consistency. Cleaners don't rely on emotion, they build routines, habits, and systems. They show up the same way every day, regardless of how they feel. Grover urges readers to stop overthinking, stop waiting for the perfect time, and start doing. The cleaner mindset isn't about being smarter or more talented, it's about showing up and doing the work, no matter what. Grover also talks about decision-making under pressure. Cleaners trust their instincts because they've done the work to earn that trust. They don't hesitate. They don't ask for opinions. They act. That decisiveness comes from preparation and the refusal to be thrown off by chaos or fear. The more you grind under pressure, the more comfortable you become in high-stakes situations. You stop second-guessing and start owning the moment. The book isn't about just sports or athletes, it's about anyone who wants to dominate their field. Grover applies these lessons to business, personal development, and leadership. He pushes the idea that being relentless is a choice, one you have to make daily. It's not about talent or luck. It's about whether you're willing to keep showing up, keep evolving, and keep demanding more of yourself when no one is watching. Grover ends the book with a challenge. He doesn't offer a step-by-step program or formula. Instead, he dares you to look in the mirror and ask yourself what you're really willing to do. Not what you say you want, but what you're actually willing to sacrifice, endure, and grind through to get there. Are you willing to be hated, misunderstood, exhausted, and alone if that's what it takes? Because that's what it means to be relentless.